So let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore now. He joins us live from Ukraine with more. Marcus, what can you tell us about how these Ukrainian forces are actually using this U.S. intelligence against Russia?
Well, Trevor, the assistance that the Ukrainian forces are getting from U.S. intelligence is critical, and they have been using that information not only to protect and defend their positions here in Ukraine, but also carry out counterattacks when they can. And as you mentioned, the information that they've been receiving from U.S. intelligence is broad in its nature in terms of identifying where some of those mobile command posts are, as well as the various troop movements on the part of the Russians. But as you say, it is important to point out that the information that they've been receiving is not specific to, say, a specific general for the Russians, who, by the way, generally, the way the Russian military is set up, they often have their higher-ranking officials closer to the front line, and because of that, they are much closer to the action and can be injured or killed as the Ukrainians carry out those counterattacks. So certainly this information helps shed some light on how this war has been fought and how the Ukrainians have been defending themselves, but also just how critical the support is that they are getting from the West and from the U.S., not only military weapons and equipment, but also that very critical intelligence information.
Marcus, we've seen a lot of reporting throughout this war of Ukrainians seeking shelter wherever they can, sometimes going underground, not seeing the sun for days, weeks at a time. Officials say more than 300 civilians have now been evacuated from Mariupol in the last few days, but there are hundreds more that are still trapped in that steel plant that has been seeing some really heavy fighting. What's the latest on the situation there and the safety of these civilians?
Trevor, yeah, this is all happening in the coastal city of Mariupol, which is right along Ukraine's southeastern side and has been the focus of intense fighting now for weeks. And we understand that there are still civilians who have been taking shelter in the underground tunnels and bunkers that are underneath the Azovstal steel plant. And what's significant about this plant, aside from the civilians who are there, it is also known as the last holdout for Ukrainian fighters in that city. So it is a critical point, and it marks a critical point for the Ukrainians in the midst of this war as it unfolds. And there have been very urgent and dangerous efforts to try to evacuate the civilians who have taken shelter there. And as you know, the UN, and along with Ukraine and Russia, were able to negotiate earlier this week a ceasefire, a moment for them to evacuate people from that plant. But that ceasefire then ended a short time later, and the heavy fighting has continued. So, Trevor, the Russians, they want to take this plant. They want to be able to claim victory in Mariupol. The Ukrainians say that they are still fighting and that they will not surrender unless there is a guarantee that those soldiers and civilians will be able to exit that plant safely. But the headline there still remains that they have not given up the fight there in Mariupol.
All right, Marcus Moore reporting from Ukraine. Always appreciate your reporting and your context.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.